Greetings, Shalom, Salam. My name is Matt Meyer, and I'm excited and honored and pleased to bring birthday greetings and love from the International Peace Research Association, the International Fellowship of Reconciliation, and War Resisters International, 3 organizations I've represented over the decades and that have worked under the leadership of Jose Lopez to deal with issues from local educational rights to significant national and international freedom of our prisoners to questions of decolonization and independence. And of course, many of you also know me as a local activist with my comrades from Resistance in Brooklyn, RnB, and I especially want to send greetings and note my co-founding comrades Elsbeth Meyer, who's been doing this work for decades longer than many of us, Bobby Lederer, who of course was a grand jury resistor in the 1980s, and my own compañera Meg Starr. And from all of us in Resistance in Brooklyn, in RnB, we wish we were there with you. And when we think about the organizations I mentioned and we think about our own little local group, it's hard not to also think about those war resistors and FOR members, Ruth Reynolds and Jean Zwickel, and those that they stood with in the Harlem Ashram, and how after years of building work in support and solidarity with the Indian independence movement, they met this ailing, hospitalized leader, none other than Don Pedro Albizu Campos. And Don Pedro challenged them in a challenge they took up, saying, don't we have a special responsibility to look at the U.S.'s own colony, to look at the role that our own imperial machinations create and continue on the peoples of Puerto Rico. And so, of course, Ruth and her colleagues became some of the most stalwart solidarity activists of their era, and in many ways we still live on and move on in their shadow and looking to replicate some of that solidarity work for a new time. But I think for tonight it's most important to note that pieces of these histories we would barely even know without the teachings of our own great historian, our great organizer, activist, academic, Jose Lopez. And I can't help but think back to a story of some decades ago when I was first starting out doing work with colleges, doing work with peace studies, and Jose was one of the keynote speakers at a conference we were having somewhere, I forget exactly where. And he had just given an extraordinarily profound speech connecting the dots in ways that only Jose can do between the global and the local and the regional, between history and the present and the future. And so people were coming up and congratulating him, and he was going around also to different groupings of people and asking who they were and where they were from and how they came to be at this National Peace Studies Conference. And when he got to me and a table I was sitting at with a number of young students, they were all talking about their teacher and about how they got there. And I realized that in some ways, the way I got there was being a student of Jose's. That even though at that point I was already a professor, in some ways the most profound answer I could give about my location was my location as someone who had learned from over the years, not even directly as a person based in Chicago, but conceptually as a person who learned so much about strategy and tactics, about connecting the dots, connecting the issues, and connecting the struggles. I was a student of Jose Lopez. And of course that's true for so many of you, I'm sure, who are gathered here tonight for this special evening. But I think for any of you who have not become, or who do not call yourself a student of Jose Lopez, that's one of the most important badges of honor that one can have. And I think continuing to be students of Jose is a task for many of us, for all of us. So yes, as we think about connecting the local and the global, as we think about bringing peoples together, we can do little better than saying, Jose, happy birthday, much love, much solidarity, and let's keep on learning from you and working together to build a better tomorrow. Thank you.